King Cobra.
Welcome everybody back to the Urban Retrospect. We are so glad to be here with you guys once again. For those who may not have checked us out, I'm Kendrick Cloud. I got my man ATL3, almost gave his government name. You know what I'm saying? got Simply P here with me again.
It's your boy,
and, Wesley Newell. And my man Scott Jones be here tonight. Special shout out to Ramsey. Ramsey, it's your birthday. I hope you someplace having fun, monkey footing the game. You know what I'm saying? Tonight we are being joined by some old friends that have come back. They wanted to be able to come back and speak. Well, I asked them to come back. They said okay. This might be the last time they come back, depending on what we asked them today. But we're going to see what happens, okay? But before we get to them, just a quick reminder of who we are and why we're here. We are here to not only highlight Black-owned products and services, but also to highlight those issues that are important to our community, to the community of color, to be specific. And that's kind of the basis of this, of tonight's episode, okay? So without further ado, what I'm going to ask to be done is if our friends and my family can start off by introducing themselves to all of our guests. We're gonna throw it right now to my homegirl, my sister cousin, my love, Tracy Jones. Tracy, can you introduce yourself and the rest of the team?
Absolutely. Nice to be here. Always delighted to join in the show and to be with the gentlemen. Because you guys are doing amazing work, and please keep that up. My name is Tracy Jones. I am the Executive Director of the AIDS Task Force of Greater Cleveland, and I am also the National Director of Mobilization Campaigns for AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And you have four folks in front of you today that are a part of our wonderful organization. I'll let them introduce themselves, but in short, the AIDS Healthcare Foundation is in 16 cities and 46 countries. We are the largest provider of HIV services on the globe, and we are hiring. So please check us out at AIDShealthcarefoundation.org. And additionally, if you're in Cleveland, Ohio, please check out AIDS Task Force of Greater Cleveland.org. And we'll move on. Time to take it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tanya Thurman. I'm the Associate Director of Mobilization Campaigns, and I'm also one of the BLACC co-chairs for Ohio. BLACC is one of our 5 affinity groups with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. It stands for the Black Leadership AIDS Crisis Coalition. And thank you for having me tonight.
Nice to meet you, Director.
Associate.
Hey, you got to claim it. You got to claim it.
Put some respect on that now.
That's Tracy's thunder.
Who else we got there? What you guys?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn Richardson, and I am a pharmacy sales representative for the AIDS Healthcare Foundation Pharmacy. And I have a special guest with me today.
My name is Jordan Foster. I'm the Director of Education for the AIDS Task Force of Greater Cleveland. Happy to be here.
All right. Welcome everybody. Jordan, again, you know, we had the ladies, all 3 ladies on last year about this time. I think we had fun, but Tanya just said, hey, what y'all asking us today? So, hopefully, everything still goes well, but this is a time of year where we try and get you guys come on, speak about topics that are important to you guys. whether it be, Pride Month. This time we're actually having a discussion about the rising STD rates going on in this country. COVID ain't the only thing out there, and we ain't just talking about monkeypox. So there are a lot of things going on, and we wanted to have a special episode to have this conversation with you guys, so you can highlight some of the things, and some of our questions can actually be asked. All right. So without further ado, we can go ahead and we can jump into the questions. Anybody can feel free to answer the questions. Okay, so guys, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into these questions. As I said, anybody can feel free to answer the questions. So first question, number one, what are the most prevalent STDs facing Blacks and Browns in America today other than AIDS?
So I would say probably one of the biggest STDs and probably most impactful is HPV. A lot of people do not get the vaccine, but it's a really easy STD to catch, especially for college-age students. I mean, they go to college, they start experimenting. They're free, so they want to, live life, but it's a really easy STD to catch. It's just physical contact with generally with the sore, or, genital warts. So that's probably the number one STD in the country, and then followed by, chlamydia. It's another general easy STD to catch because generally it doesn't have any symptoms. So you can pass it back and forth. And if you're not getting tested and you have it for a long time, it's going to have, real adverse effects.
Now, is this something new? Has it always been like an underlying theme that's been out there, or is that one of those things that we're seeing a rise in?
It's definitely still a great rise. I would say syphilis has really been on the rise as well. In some places in the country, it's been like an 800% increase. And, untreated syphilis is, we know our history, to talk about the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, but it's a horrible disease to live with if it's untreated. So
are these things treatable? Then, if you do get them, if so, then and what is the process of getting treated? What does that look like? What's the time frame?
So for syphilis, it's a shot. So it's a shot from a drug called bicillin. Depending on the level of syphilis in your body, depends on how many times you have to get the shot. But it's like a painful shot in your butt. Chlamydia is just another shot. There's a vaccine for HPV, and you can get it up until age 45, and it prevents a lot of the strains of HPV. So that's your number one defense against HPV.
So excuse my ignorance, and it may sound. Where are we talking about these shots taking place? Are they localized for men? Like where you gotta get the shot?
Well, syphilis is just a shot in your butt. Generally, most shots are generally like an intramuscular shot, so in your arm or in your butt, depending on the shot. But syphilis is like a real thick cream. So yeah, so they have to get you real good. So they have to do it in your butt.
Well, the thing that's also important as it relates to young women is some of these STDs, if they go untreated, can be detrimental when you're at childbearing age or when you desire to have a child. If you're not getting those particular STDs treated, it can render you with cervical cancer or with something called PID, which is pelvic inflammatory disease, which potentially could mean that you would be unable to have children. So it's really important to get checked out on a regular basis if you are sexually active, but also to let people know that you've had an encounter that potentially could put them at risk. Because let's get dirty about it. Usually men, typically if you are having a heterosexual relationship, men will know before women. right, ladies, that they are in a situation where they have contracted an STD.
Now, I got a question. I know it's kind of off script, but you said HPV. You know, that's not a common one that you hear a lot, especially like when I was growing up as a teenager. You kind of like I didn't hear about HPV until like in my late 20s, early 30s. So, you know, we heard about the ones, you know, we heard about gonorrhea, chlamydia, all that. With HPV, is how is that different from the most? Can it go like you don't really have the symptoms and stuff? Or I'm just trying to, you know, get more about how, you know, like do we have to get blood tested to a doctor, or will a person know that he has HPV, or how is it usually passed? Is it mainly the male's the carrier or the woman's the carrier? You know, you got that question out.
Dawn, Jordan?
And Jordan, we had talked about this a couple of months ago. A lot of times STDs show up more visible in men than women, because sometimes women, their genital sores or genital warts can be internal. So oftentimes it's men see the lesions first, but it can show up rectally, in your throat. Women can develop cervical cancer from HPV, genital cancer, as Tracy said. So oftentimes you can see it, but it's by contact. So it's something that, as Jordan has said, oftentimes in his presentations, that that a condom doesn't cover. So it's skin to skin contact.
All right, y'all. So my question is, what are the biggest what age range has the biggest increase in these STDs so far?
It's the 18 to 30 age range is what we're seeing.
So leave those hot girls alone.
The thing that makes HPV so deadly is the fact that there's so many strains. And as Dawn said, it can be outside the condom area. And, you know, people are, you know, stigma and shame, people don't necessarily go and get treated. And in some folks, the symptoms will go away, but they still can be infectious. So it's one of those things that we need to talk about. And the thing that's really important is there is a vaccine up to 45 years old. So, and it covers most strains. And for it to be the most prevalent STD, we're still snacking. And for us to be in a situation where we have young people that are so much at risk, we just need to start talking about it and making sure that young people know that there's an option.
Can healthcare be a factor though? Like, you know, people are not having access to certain healthcare be part of the cause of the rise?
That's definitely a barrier, particularly in the southern states and states that don't have like Medicaid expansion. So there's definitely different barriers to healthcare, such as not having insurance or transportation issues. So that is definitely one thing. And still just the lack of stigma, like, you know, the Black community still doesn't have faith in medicine because of the history of us in the country. So that's one thing to also take into consideration.
They go to their barbershop doctor that tells them.
Correct. Or your grandma's remedies, even though a lot of them do work though.
Yeah, but then they'll go eat some fried chicken or something that
Exactly.
clogs up their arteries and die. Heart disease.
Baking soda don't work. Baking soda and Windex don't work on everything.
Yeah.
Or Tussin.
Now, my question is, are there any specific hotspots, like cities or states, where you're seeing a rise in STDs? And what specific STDs are you seeing the rise in, and what cities?
Jordan, you want to take that one?
Definitely, you know, the South is seeing a huge rise. Atlanta especially.
Atlanta is so another meaning.
Yeah, shawty. Yeah. College Park.
Again?
College Park.
Three is from College Park.
But you can't just say the South, man. Man.
Oh, now he don't want to be from Atlanta, Ken.
It is the
And now he's
South,
from College
though.
Park. We got on him because you know that song was talking about Atlanta and not Atlanta. He talking about I'm Atlanta all the way, but now he College Park.
Can we not say hot Atlanta like that and put that like in the same thing?
That will not be edited out.
It's
It's
literally
the
hot.
truth, though.
I mean,
It's the
Or we call it
put that-
Burn Atlanta.
You could have put that in a different
Hot
way. You know
Atlanta.
what I mean? You know what I mean? God dang, bro. Man,
I still
I
got
just-
love for you, though.
man, I'm straight. You know what I mean? You know, I've been sleeping with the same one since, you know what I mean, 8 years, maybe 9, 10, however long we've been married today. But I'm good. You know what I mean?
Well, we know that this isn't the situation for you, but
Yo, city.
yeah. But here's the
Man.
part that people don't want to, you know, like you said, I've been sleeping with the same one for 8 or 9 years. If you in a situation where you can't be assured that on the other end that's what's happening,
Oh no, I'm good.
you know,
I'm
you're
good.
still at risk.
I'm good. Hey, man,
I know
is
you
this-
are, but I'm talking about. I know you asking for a friend, right?
This lamp is hot, kid. Woo.
It's God trying to tell
How
you
you turn
something.
this ring lamp down?
I bet it's hot.
Okay. Ooh.
Now,
Jesus.
we mentioned Atlanta, of course, the South. Would you say like cities such as Miami, and I guess cities that are traveled to frequently? Would you say which is a large rise in that cities?
Yes, cities that are transient cities where there's lots of high commercial sex work. I think most
College towns are
college
big ones.
towns,
Mm.
you know, places where people are transient, like, you know, folks are doing what we call out call. So they are going from city to city, and they do back pages, or they're, you know, doing OnlyFriends pages, but they're also actually engaging in commercial sex work. That, you know, they're putting themselves at risk. Right now, we can attribute the monkeypox to some sex parties in Australia. You know, so
Really?
we pretty much have traced that, though, that some folks participated in a sex party and then traveled back to the United States and to Canada and are spreading monkeypox, because monkeypox is spread by close contact. So it can be spread through sexual contact or through hugging or humping or whatever else. But yeah, so sometimes it really is just the transitory nature of human beings.
Was
Why
there a
did they call it
monkey
kangaroo
involved?
pox then?
Was there a monkey involved? Good question, Wes. Why is it
Since it
kangaroo
started in
pox?
Australia, how come it ain't called kangaroo pox? They like to consider everything black, you know. So
Let's keep it
call it kangaroo
100.
pox.
Monkeypox has been around for a very long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And it's not because it came from a monkey, it's because of the bumpy nature of that particular way it manifests on your skin.
Being
Just
from
like
Alabama-
Ebola,
being
just
from
like
Alabama,
hantavirus. These things have been around and they kind of flare up from time to time, especially when there's no vaccine for it.
is there an Alabama pox? Can we get it on West? You know what I mean? Is there a way? Nothing.
Nothing. I got nothing.
You got nothing.
Here's my-
Well, what about Tuscaloosa worms?
Oh my God.
Hey, y'all,
Okay. I'm putting my petty notebook 3. Greg, I'm coming for you.
Is there such thing as the Cottontail chlamydia? You know what I mean? You know.
Hey, go ahead, Scott.
my next question is, and you can see over my shoulder, the background, I actually just returned from Ghana about two months ago. This is the market. So I think we go ahead and put a little photo from Ghana back here. But my next question was, do you see a rise in specific countries when it comes to STD? This obviously is
Yes, so
country in Africa.
Australia, Singapore, and the United States are the top 3. And when it comes to STDs, unfortunately, Africa is still the #1 when it comes to HIV and AIDS cases. But as far as STDs, it's Australia, Singapore, and in the United States.
What about Brazil's not up there, especially with
It's
Rio?
up there, but that's the top 3.
Okay. So, but I have an honest question here, and excuse my my ignorance in asking it, but do people still use condoms, or is everyone just team meat to meat?
Jordy?
A lot of people who still use condoms. There definitely is. But on the flip side, I think we've just been through a pandemic, and there's a lot of people with kind of like a mindset of kind of like, can I just say, can I or YOLO? Let's say YOLO. No, I don't care. Life is really short. So there's a lot of people kind of with that mindset of like, I'm just gonna live my life, I'm gonna have fun. I get burnt, I go get a pill, and then continue my life.
But yeah, you only live once, but you could also live a lot longer.
Well, I would say a lot of people passed away these last 2 years. So
don't forget to mute.
Live once could be you die tomorrow.
Were
people just kind of they don't care anymore. It's not a priority. It's not nothing to be afraid of, where I could die tomorrow anyway. I'm just gonna go have fun. But there is a lot of people who definitely still use condoms.
What type of complications did you see with with COVID over the last 2 years and some of these STDs? Because I've seen so much about pre-existing conditions and just other conditions that people have had, and then when they get COVID, it's exacerbated and things like that. Have you guys seen anything with that when it comes to any of the STDs, AIDS in particular, but anything along those lines? Are we seeing greater outbreaks? Like if you have gonorrhea, is it extra bad if you get COVID?
You know what? I don't know that we've had enough time to really determine if that's really having an effect, because we know long COVID is a thing. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see probably in the next 6 months, Kendrick, whether or not COVID has had it is causing extenuating circumstances as it relates to other diseases. But what we have seen is we know that, especially in younger people, because they've dated online for so long, because they've been at home for COVID, I think people are willing to be more risky in terms of, well, we've been together for 6 months online, so they're more willing to have, sexual intercourse probably earlier. We've seen that people are coming in with STDs and packages of STDs. We've seen that we are now on the precipice of having some STDs that are going to be vaccine resistant or treatment resistant if we keep going, because people I take the pills until I feel better. I took 6 of the penicillin, that's enough. They made my stomach hurt. So those things I think are extenuating circumstances, but it's going to be a while before we can determine whether or not COVID has been responsible for making these things really, really bad. I don't know if anybody else has comments.
I got a quick question. I know a lot, especially with young people, they get a lot of misinformation now. On what I mean by that, a lot of young people, they get all their information from YouTube, TikTok, and I noticed a couple of years ago, I saw a video, I think it was on World Star Hip Hop, but it came from YouTube, about people preaching and not using condoms. You think that could be contributing? Yeah, talking about it's not natural. Yeah, I mean, they have, videos and people gain this information because they don't really, people get a lot of misinformation these days, just because. Do you think that can contribute to the people, the spreading of STDs and stuff now, or that's just?
I mean, for me, I get troubled by the fact that on a regular basis, people will say, they'll ask you a question, oh, where do you work? And I'll say, I work assisting people living with HIV and AIDS. And they'll say, that's still a thing? So the silence around the issue, I mean, and I think that's STDs as well as HIV, is deafening. Like, We are just not talking about how prevalent STDs have become. In fact, HIV for most communities, the rates have dropped except for Black women. They just continue to, continue on. So if we've got that knowledge that we've been able to get people into care, reduce HIV, we've got to apply those same kinds of methods to STDs, because STDs are off the rip. I think it's misinformation, but I think additionally, it's just the fact that we aren't having any conversation about the risk. I remember when I was growing up, there was music, like in our rap music, there was conversations about wrap it up, TLC, and especially after what happened to the Eric Eazy-E, it was lots of conversation about STDs and how to protect yourself. You don't hear, well, I don't know what you hear in this music, but that I don't want to get off my lawn about it, but I kind of do. I don't know what they're talking about, but it's not the fact that they're at risk.
So my question is, so I know you guys focus on AIDS and like that. So what you guys going to promote, change your direction towards the STD education? Are y'all changing your direction or what?
Oh no, it's always a part. Dawn, you want to take it for wellness?
Oh, sure. We have social media campaigns, billboards, in the language that speaks to young people, like Knockout HIV, Syphilis Tsunami. We had one that was like Pokemon. What are we?
Pokemon? Yeah.
Trying to market to the young people to get them into our wellness clinic, to get them tested. And with TikTok, I want to say that they don't have an excuse, but hopefully they would just come in just because it's free and it's walk-in.
The college kids definitely took advantage of it because it was harder for them to get healthcare, so that was kind of their healthcare in some ways. But they took advantage of it.
And also, is what's so unique is for a lot of the college students, they're still on their parents' health insurance. So that's also, for privacy, they rather come to like one of our clinics, so their parents won't know that they're going to get tested as well.
Well, let me ask you this. I got a 16-year-old daughter. I want to say that out loud. And you should suggest I should to her to get the shot.
Yesterday. I mean, the efficacy that we found around the vaccine is called Gardasil. The efficacy around this vaccine is outstanding. My son, the first year that the treatment came out, they weren't offering it for boys. And so I went to my son's doctor, he was 12 at the time, and I was like, you think I should get him the HPV shot? He was like, nah, not really. He's not having sex, we'll wait. So the next year when he went for his checkup, he was like, the first thing we're gonna do is his Gardasil shot, because the efficacy is so good. And especially for young women who are at risk of breast cancer, of cervical cancer, this is one of the ways that you can protect them out the gate. And the fact that we in the Black community aren't making sure that our young people have access to this is a crime. It really is.
Thank you.
I mean, there's so much to unpack in that statement you just made, because me personally, I don't see why men aren't giving some of this stuff off the rip, like get your ASVAB, get your HIV, just get your shot, because we're perpetuating a lot of this, because, the women are more monogamous than men, most times, sometimes, but that's here or there. And I'm not for government regulation, but, that kind of leads right into the question I was asked to ask. What if anything, could the government do to limit the increase or decrease of some STDs? And again, I don't know if you guys watched the show, but I'm not really a proponent for government involvement, but if it's going to help the overall community, I think the government has a responsibility to kind of take a role in it. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
I mean, my short answer, and I'll kick it to the team, but my short answer is we've done two things in our communities that have devastated our communities. The first has been the practically elimination of mental health care. You know, we basically pushed mental health care to communities. And that's why we have so many homeless people on the street. And, you know, we've got some of the problems that we have because we went from an institutional model to a community model. The second thing we did was we eliminated free wellness care in communities where you could go and get a checkup and get a test and get treatment within your community. So now you either got to go to a hospital system, which requires you to have some kind of insurance and to be able to have enough wherewithal to walk through the doors. And when you're 17, 18, 19 years old, that's just not something you're going to do. But if your doctor in your community is providing that service, it's a lot easier for you to go and seek that treatment. So what we've got to get back to is we as community leaders have got to continue to remind people. I love this, that Earthquake, the comedian, says, health is wealth. We've got to remind our community, especially our young people, take care of yourself. Get your shots, get your checkup every year. That should be something a gift you give to yourself on every birthday. Don't miss it, because sometimes when you miss a year, you could put your life at risk. You know, and my cousin Kendrick, and you know, sharing publicly, I missed a mammogram 1 year. A year later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm fine, but the point of it is you can't go a year. You got to get treatment every 6 months, especially if you're sexually active, to make sure that you're okay.
Don't ignore pain.
That's right. Jordan or Tanya, or y'all want to jump in, my dude? Do y'all think the government has a responsibility in this particular climate?
I think one of the number one things that's missing is like, you know, mandatory sex education. And there's a lot of places where it's kind of like just abstinence only conversations, but kids need to know. I mean, they're out here having sex anyway, and they don't know how to use condoms properly. They don't know to go get checked up because they didn't think they had anything. And then, you know, if they have something, they're ashamed, you know, so they're not going to tell anybody. So I'll make fun of you if you know you got an STD. But I'm just like, that's nothing to make fun of. You need to go get treated, and you should tell somebody else who you got it, that you know affected them, so they can get treated as well. So you're spreading it to everybody. So that's the main thing, you know, mandatory education.
See, that opens up another door right there. Tanya, what age should we start educating people about?
Yeah, I was about to say,
know everything, but you should have different conversations at different levels. You should know something. You should be more aware of, like, it's real out here. So
and let's be real. Let's be real. It's out there. Right now, you don't even have to put an age requirement to get on the porn site. You just put it in your phone. You know, you can go on TV. It's out there. They even talk about it on the radio. You know, it's out there, so everybody knows about sex. Let's be real. You know, and then it's funny when people bring up. You know, I agree with you, Jordan, about the mandatory government, but it's also, you know, people are, you know, involved in government not to teach this stuff. You know, they're pressing you not to teach it. And it's hurting. You know, it's hurting. You know,
well,
they're
going the other way that you're saying to prevent people from learning it.
Well, that debate is happening right now. Huh? That debate is happening right now. At what age? I think Virginia is going through it, and a couple other states. At what age do we start teaching it? And my question is, what age, as you all being healthcare and sex professionals, what age do we believe? Let somebody else answer. You know what I mean? I saw you about to answer. She was about to answer. You know what I mean?
No, I was gonna say it starts young, and as Jordan said, like age appropriate. Like first you start off with good touch versus bad touch, and then you just keep on continuing on. But I think every age level, the conversation needs to grow, but it needs to just start at a minimum. What's a good touch? What's a bad touch? Learning the proper names for body parts, like just that basic, and then let it grow as you get older.
Bro, the answer is K through 12.
Yes. So, but starting in kindergarten.
I'm a
Barack
girl
Obama said
dad.
that.
I got 3 daughters. I need some specifics on how to do this and get this right. Okay. I don't want no gray area. You know what I mean? All right,
No, we
I'm
don't
done.
have no gray area. K through 12.
K through 12.
I'm
Y'all
bringing
heard that.
I'm bringing the
fans.
girls over to your house, Tracy.
Bring them over. You won't be the first or the last.
Well, luckily they mama. We have those types of conversations, you know.
We do.
Yeah, your wife is quite upfront and good at conveying the message. But to Tanya's point, like, we don't realize how much we put kids at risk by not even having the conversation that, you know, don't sit on Uncle such and such's lap, you know, like those kind. And Uncle such and such might be fine. It's just not even worth the risk anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, one of the things that I was laughing, we were laughing earlier together, up to your point about how readily available information about sex is to this generation. I can remember when my son was younger and he would be watching Sesame Street. I had to be careful if he was watching videos on YouTube, because I'd be like, ho, 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 because that anime crap would pop up and then all of a sudden you got all kinds of things going on. So they get much more information. We had to seek, you know, like I had to go find a Playboy magazine under somebody's mattress. They ain't got to do none of that. You know, it's coming at them. Exactly. So if you're not going to have that conversation, trust and believe somebody's having it with them, and you're not going to like that information.
Yep. That's true. That's true. Ken, I think we talked about it before. Remember, we used to turn our head sideways, look between the cable channels, you know, to be squiggly. But you can turn sideways, you can make it out.
If you turn sideways and you squint your eyes real hard, you might be able to see you a little something. Yeah.
Come on. Don't act like I'm the only one. Wait, don't act like I'm the only one.
No, you're not. You're not.
We didn't have cable when I was growing up.
Yeah, but Terry, y'all had farm animals out there doing things. Like about those bad joy.
They were safe.
Well, it's very different now. And I told my team, if this gas keep going up, I'm about to get me an OnlyFans page and show my feet.
Oh, look at you. Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang.
Cash rules everything around me. Green, get money. Dollar bill, y'all. All right. On our last conversation, you know, we know AIDS was real serious back in the day, but now it's not taken serious because everybody, like I said, every black show we watch now, they got a AIDS prep commercial, and they even got AIDS prep commercials on the radio now. So, but people are living normal lives if they take the prep correctly. What other diseases that are serious now that people are not doing well on once they get them, per se?
Well, first I want to correct you. PrEP is for if you're not HIV positive, and that helps decrease your rate of becoming HIV positive. So PrEP is different from HIV treatment. So the HIV treatment allows people to live normal lives if they're HIV positive. So I just want to make sure that's
oh yeah, I excuse me, I was wrong on that, but it's still, they shouldn't be having no damn commercials on TV. Everybody think they could pop them. I'm Magic Johnson.
Well, here's the thing. Let's move the needle back on this conversation for a second. When you start to talk about HIV is not that bad, we're still losing people to the illness. Mm-hmm. Let's be clear. And the thing that people don't understand is these are very powerful drugs that for some people can accelerate their rate of, you know, getting older quicker. They can affect your kidneys. They can affect your liver.
They can affect your bone density.
Yeah, we know that, you know, one of our major manufacturers had a drug that was much better for kidneys and bone density and liver. They held that drug back for almost 10 years and let the patent run out on the one that was really more dramatic. So saying that we've gotten past it, I mean, that's the only way that I feel better about HIV is if I prevent a case. So that still is a thing. You know, we might not be talking about it, but it still is a thing. And we know that any kind of preventive care, up until including birth control, well, right now, I'm not really dating nobody. I don't really want to take some pills. I really want, I don't want to give my body a rest. When you're doing those kinds of things with birth control pills or PrEP for other things, we still don't have enough data to know how that's going to affect a teenage body in the long run, or an early adult body in the long run. So to say that we've arrived and now we can move on to something else, pump your brakes. We're not there yet. We still need to prevent that case. We still need to protect that child and arm them with enough information, because it's a possibility they can get HIV and chlamydia and gonorrhea on top of that. It ain't just a one package deal. It could be several things.
From a pharmaceutical perspective, I see people leaving with a lot of pills. So you have your HIV pill, yeah, then you can't sleep, so you need another pill. Then blood pressure pill, then you're depressed, so you need a depression pill, then you have diabetes. So the older you get, you just add more pills. I mean, people are leaving with boxes of pills. They're leaving longer, but they're taking more medication, but it's keeping them alive. But yeah, so it's still around, but they're just taking more medication.
So
well, I mean really more from a treatment perspective. So, you were just speaking, kind of from a, if you get high, it's going to affect your decision making. You might be willing to take that condom off and go meet the meat. You know what I'm saying? But I'm actually talking about in terms of treatment and helping to deal with any of the symptoms and issues caused by the diseases.
I mean, Dawn can speak to this, but I don't know that we've ever had a conversation within our healthcare system of HIV around cannabis besides helping with nausea and wasting.
Gotcha.
Not really in the effects of it improving your overall health. I just don't know anything in that regard.
What'd you say, Dawn?
No, I was just saying that our doctor doesn't frown upon it. If some of our patients use edibles, if it's helping them relieve some of their symptoms, that's
whether they
fine.
realize it or not. You mean, or whether it's real or not, if they think it's doing it, right. You just okay.
What do y'all have planned this month for AHF? I mean, what's going on? What y'all got in the kitchen cooking?
Well, one of the major initiatives we're working on right now is around, and it's one of those that people have different feelings about it one way or the other, but it is something that we've taken up seriously, is the initiative around Don't Say Gay. For our organization, it really is harmful to young people that are LGBTQ, because it really is rendering them in a situation where they can't talk about or be who they are. It also is troubling to us because it means that young people can't acknowledge their family systems in some instances, if they have two moms or two dads. And it's sort of like the issues we're facing around CRT, which we've kind of wrapped into a whole package of don't stand against hate. We really just want to look at the issues around Roe versus Wade, around CRT, and around Don't Say Gay, to say we are harming people with some of these rules. So that's something that we've taken up very seriously, and we're working on to change legislation.
And I do want to point out, in a lot of the states, I encourage everyone, and particularly our Black community, to pay close attention, because they're using the umbrella of Don't Say Gay, but if you look closer into those bills, they are wrapping up simple as Black History Month, talking about the 1619 Project, critical race theory. They're tying it all under the Don't Say Gay, with the hopes that people would just hear Don't Say Gay and was like, well, I don't care about it anyway. If you're Black, you need to literally look at these legislation laws in your state.
Are y'all doing anything to kind of like educate people? Because a lot of times I see that people are just kind of like miseducated and don't know. And a lot, like you mentioned the LGBTQ, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of us, like, I don't want to be the ignorant dude on here, but a lot of, people like me, we get confused by it, because it's just like, we grew up, like you said back in the day, it was either you were straight or you were gay. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like you got 20 different things and descriptions. You know what I'm saying? I heard something called cis. I'm like, what is a cis? You know what I'm saying? And I think this is just my opinion. I think just a lot of people, I think what happens is the Republicans take control of the narrative. And I think what a lot of times, like the Don't Say Gay, we just don't take control of it and we let people run with it. But a lot of stuff is out there confusing though. So what are y'all doing to educate people on those confusing type of things? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, we are constantly looking at marketing campaigns because you're right. Somebody actually said something to me a couple of days ago that was very impactful, that you're right. When some of us grew up, it was a very narrow binary kind of thought. Either you are this or that. But when you start to think about sexuality on a spectrum, which it is, nobody is all the way straight as versus nobody is all the way gay. And that doesn't mean that in their practice, but that may be in their thought, or that may be in their orientation, like, I remember growing up that Jamie Foxx one day was talking about, Prince and saying, I thought he was very attractive. Like, there's nothing wrong with finding someone else attractive. That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to act on that desire. But it also doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have an attraction to that person. I think now what society allows is for people to be much more broad in their understanding of who and what they are. That's simply all of it. We don't have to get no more complicated. Ain't nobody asking you to figure out which flag go with which people. They got that covered. Nobody's asking you to understand completely what cisgender means. Either you are or you aren't. That's for us to decide in terms of, trying to make sure that we are accounting for people properly. I think if we could just give the space of grace to understanding that these young people, quite frankly, don't care what you think. They just don't care. They want to be who they are, and they want to be the fullness of who they are. So we as leaders and parents and family members just have to help them go on that journey, because they'll arrive where they arrive, but you got to go on that journey with them.
They get to go on that journey, but why does that journey get lumped in with being Black in America? I feel like a lot of times. Why does that journey get conjoined a lot of times with being Black in America? Why isn't that journey separate from being Black in America?
I don't know that it is. I think that some of our history makes us separated. I mean, and others can join in. I think sometimes the way that we have been taught to feel about ourselves, about women, about children, about faith, I think that all gets intertwined in the presentation of us sexually. When you start to say, well, I don't want to talk about all that gay shit. Like, right there, you have shut the door on any conversation that could be meaningful with another human being. I think sometimes we as Black people take it personally, where they just trying to get stuff to us. The reality is these young people look at the world in an utterly different way. They see sexuality as something that they are fully participating in. Either they're having it or they're not. They are still fully participating in the conversation. And that is separate and apart from race, to be honest. I don't know what others think.
I think where the confusion comes is, though, Tracy, is I don't care what your sexuality is, right? But the problem is when you get upset at a person for not understanding.
Correct. Yeah.
So how do we put up a wall? Just like when you come to someone and you give like, you are wrong because you didn't call me the right pronoun, or I'm this type, or I'm that type. And it's just like, dude, I don't care why you saying. I think it has to be like both ways. You cannot like, because sometimes they get stamped in their stance too.
So you're asking Wes, how do we create the safe space?
You're gonna have to accept me but we don't understand you because you got like 26 of that letters in the alphabet. I don't know which way you are. I'm just being honest.
So how do we create the safe place? Because we all have these questions, right, Wes? We all have these questions. You know what I'm saying? I know I talked to Tracy about this because I have questions. I get confused, and you know, but we have to have a safe space to have these conversations where those who are older, because I mean, I think a lot of this also goes with age, whether we're talking about sexuality and gender, or we're talking about a fraternity or school or whatever. A lot of it, there's an age gap that goes into that. So for those of us who may be, well, I'm not that old, but for those of us who, you know, for those who may be old, you know, how do we even have a safe place to say, hey, we're willing to sit and listen. We're willing to take the time to understand, but we also not with all of that. You about to turn and jump on us because we don't understand. So like, how do we approach that? And hold on, not Tracy, Jordan, Dawn, Tanya.
I mean, even though we work in the field, I think we're all learning. Jordan did a presentation a couple weeks ago about pronouns and taught us some new things because he's a young.
So I think the most important thing is people really just want to be recognized for who they are. I mean, I think even not just sexuality, I think even in race. I mean, I think, you know, a Black person comes around a white person and you have something that's more towards like for the Black community. And, you know, if you don't, the white person doesn't take the time to understand that, then you're offended. I'm like, well, okay, this is not that difficult of a concept to understand. And the fact that you can't understand or take, you know, step out of yourself to understand it, it's very offensive to somebody. So, I mean, I prefer, you know, not maybe for me. So it's like, if I want to say that I identify as a woman because that's how I feel, and you can't understand that, well, it's kind of hurtful. So you cannot be able to take the opportunity to understand that what I was born as, it doesn't align with what I feel. Like I feel that I am a woman, or vice versa, as I feel like I am a man. I just want to be respected like a regular human being. I don't want to feel different. I don't want to feel like shamed for the feelings I have. So I want to be like, you want to be respected as a Black man. You want to be shamed for being a Black man, for something that you had no choice over. You want to be supported. So, I mean, we've grown up for like hundreds of years where, you know, slavery happened, racism still happens. And I think this new age is like a lot more progressive. And it's like a lot of these kids are like, I'm not going to deal with your bullshit no more because it's just, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Just not. It's over with. It's done with. I'm going to stand up for myself and I'm going to speak. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to be proud, and you're going to accept it or just get out of my face. That's it. That's the end of it for a lot of, you know, youth now. I would say, I think for each new generation, there is something new. So at some point, I feel old. You know, when I listen to certain people talk, I'm just like, I'm not that old. But I'm just like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I am so lost. I'm so confused. And I'll bring somebody over here to translate because I am 100% lost.
Because you old. It's okay. It happens to all of us.
I mean, even people like 5 years younger than me, it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, don't be in denial. Don't fight it, man.
Don't worry. It's better when you get old.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you care less. People, you think this young generation don't care? Oh, we don't care at all.
We don't give a.
Trust me.
We
care about our money.
Generation. We from smoking.
We got stuff to care about. We don't want to lose. So you come at us.
Our money.
Like, oh hell, Negro. Nah.
Go ahead, here, G. What you got, G?
So just a philosophical question. Do you think we can eradicate STDs in our lifetime?
Any STD.
And
I think that's 100% possible. I will say, number one, follow the doctor's orders if you get treated, and please don't, if they say wait 7 days, please just wait the 7 days and don't have sex earlier, because, well, then you possibly still had it and you passed it to somebody else, and maybe you became resistant because you didn't follow and take all the pills as they gave them to you. So, I mean, that's the problem. Follow the doctor's orders. We've seen plenty of people who, like, they came back and forth and they gave the STD back to, their partner several times.
Also needs to be treated.
Again, so I mean, like, that's not doing anything. Wait, I mean, you can go like a couple of days without having sex. Have sex with yourself. Leave the other person alone. Let the STD, let the pills work. So I think it's possible, but people need to go get checked up to know they actually have it.
Okay.
That's kind of crazy because, like, when you mentioned earlier about monkeypox has been around for years. You know what I'm saying? It's coming out like it's a new thing. So it's kind of like, that's a real question.
Well,
can we really eradicate this
STDs are
stuff?
cyclical, just like, lots of things in our universe. We almost completely eradicated syphilis. We put effort behind it. We put money behind it. We completely got to a point where syphilis cases were almost zero. And they're still very low. But when we see that we've got a spike, in our community, we are on it because we don't want that to get out of control. So to answer that question, there are bacterial STDs and there are parasitic STDs. We call them retro STDs at this point because, should nobody be getting crabs at this point? We don't figured out how to treat crabs. You ain't even got to go to the doctor. Go get you some stuff off the counter. So to answer your question, absolutely. But it's just like with anything else. It takes somebody we found within a year a vaccine for COVID because we put money behind it, we put energy behind it, but that has to be what we do on a continual basis for something that, like an STD, that gets out of control.
Yeah, what you need is someone rich and powerful and in politics to catch it, and it's all gonna change.
Or a cat full of
say
bleach.
it though, but it's the truth.
Or a cat full of bleach with.
No. Look, so before we wrap up, I know one of the big reasons why we had you guys on in June of last year and wanted to have you guys on June of this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't National HIV Testing Day, is it still the 27th of every June 27th of every year?
June 26th.
June 26th, I'm sorry. Is there anything that BLACC or AHF or the AIDS task force has planned, like some big event to draw people in to come get tested? Or if not, then is there any message that you guys have that you want to really kind of foot stomp and get out there to the public?
Quite frankly, we're not doing any, we do AIDS every day, all day. AIDS are us. So, but there are lots of events nationally, and I think that if you type in National Condom Days, they do list them by things that are going on. I think we're doing a small event in Cleveland for youth, which will involve a karaoke battle and HIV testing. So we try to tie other events together so that it's not so funnel that the only thing we're going to talk about today is HIV or STD. People are kind of over it. It sounds like a drum beat after a while. So we're trying to make sure that we're tying other things together to make sure that people can, come get tested, feel comfortable. It becomes more rudimentary and people don't feel like they're being called out. I mean, and I'll let everybody else answer, but as in the last word of what we want people to hear is that it's not over. Do not get complacent. Do not get to a point where you think that it can't be you, because it absolutely very well can be. I'll kick it to everybody else.
Yeah. Once I'll say, if you are in the Columbus area, National HIV Testing Day actually falls on our NPHC Unity Week. So BLACC is sponsoring Unity Week, and during the stroll competition, the Divine Nine has a PSA challenge where they'll be displaying their PSAs around, encouraging everyone to get HIV tested for HIV, and we'll also be offering free HIV testing. I think that's in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, Columbus, Ohio. All right, cool. Yeah.
So I think my my end thing would just be gracious towards one another, be quick, stay open-minded and be willing to learn. And I think that's the beginning steps to be able to end stigma, which is, I think, one of the biggest barriers that's going to keep the STDs rising, as well as HIV in our community, particularly in our community.
Dawn, Jordan.
My final word is just, as always, everyone has a status. Know yours and share this information with your peers, and so they can learn how to talk about sex in a normalized fashion, I guess I would say.
I'll just go with what Tanya said. Just be open-minded, be respectful, and that's the most important thing. Oh, and so you know, cisgender, all it means is you align with your gender as the same as your birth sex. That's all it means. That's all it is.
All right, guys, again, we want to take the time to say thank you. Thank you for willing to sit down and talk to the six of us, and it helped to inform us, help us to even share this information with other people. You know, this is another one of those topics where we really believe knowledge is power, right? So if we go ahead and we share the knowledge, we can all be equipped and empowered to do better for ourselves and for our families, friends, and society by and large. Before we get out of here, can anybody give us your contact information, the website, social media tags, any of that?
Sure. For BLACC, our website is BLACC.net, and our Twitter handle is @BLACC.
BLACC. It's AIDStaskforce.org, and and we have a Facebook page, I think also by that name, and an Instagram, and you can reach us. You can reach us, all of us there.
Do you know how to work on Instagram, Tracy?
No.
Okay.
Y'all got a TikTok?
We do have a TikTok. I don't know how to work that either.
Yeah, y'all need to talk about that TikTok, because let me tell you, these young kids, they ain't on Facebook, they on their TikTok. Trust me.
That's true. That's true.
Scott Jones, can you share with the people all of our social media tags and the ways to reach us?
Yes, sir. Well, as you can see on our show, please, before you get off of YouTube, make sure you like what you're watching. Hit the subscribe button and the bell for more notifications. We are also on Twitter, but it's at Retrospect 6019. We're on Instagram at the Urban Retrospect, Facebook, the Urban Retrospect. We can you can send us an email at theurbanretrospect@gmail.com. And to catch everything, go to theurbanretrospect.com. That's our website.
And we are on TikTok.
And we are on TikTok. Yes, we are. The Urban Retrospect.
Don't work.
All right. So once again, I want to thank everybody from BLACC AHF AIDS Task Force for taking the time to speak with us again. We can't thank you guys enough, man. We hope you guys have a good, safe time down there in Montgomery. Tanya, it's too hot to have that jacket on, so I just want to let you know that, because I know it's about 80 degrees
don't
down
come
there.
for me.
I'm just letting you know that real quick.
First of all,
Way too hot to have that jacket on.
Oh, he did.
Let me tell you. So actually, we're inside the bowling alley. We missed our whole session to do this, so
And
don't
we appreciate
come for
it.
me. Okay?
We appreciate
so
it.
And the air conditioning is on. So thank you very much.
Tracy took her jacket off. I just want you to notice that. I know that Tracy took her
Hey,
jacket
get
off.
out my soror.
Listen,
Get out my soror,
I
Ken. I got your back.
Zetas can take care of business themselves. So I'm
It's
good.
all-
I don't
it's
need
all
no
love.
yeah. I got you.
Oh,
What's
It's all
up?
love. Hey man, so again, thank you to all the fans out there also for tuning in. Remember, everybody, check out the website for AHF, for AIDS Task Force for BLACC. Check out our stuff, man, and remember to be smart. Use condoms, please, people. Please use condoms. I mean, I know that raw stuff is the best, but use condoms, okay? And then we're gonna close it out at that. And as always, in closing, we wish y'all all peace, love, and retrospect, man. Y'all be safe.
And cue the music.